In a peaceful village surrounded by towering forests lived an elderly carpenter whose craftsmanship was admired far behind his hometown. Every piece of furniture he created seemed to possess a unique character. His tables were elegant, his chairs were strong, and his cabinets were remarkably beautiful. People believed his hands possessed extraordinary skill, but those who knew him understood that his greatest tool was neither his saw nor his chisel. It was the calmness of his mind. As the years passed, many young people came to learn from the master carpenter. Most arrived dreaming of becoming famous craftsmen. But they soon discovered that woodworking demanded patience, precision, and discipline. One by one, they abandoned their training, unwilling to endure the slow journey of mastery. Only one apprentice remained. The young apprentice was remarkably talented. He learned quickly and worked harder than anyone else. Yet he was impatient. He rushed every task, believing speed would bring success. Whenever mistakes occurred, frustration clouded his judgment. Small imperfections irritated him, and difficult tasks caused him to lose focus. His hands moved quickly, but his mind was always racing ahead. The elderly carpenter watched silently. Experience had taught him that some lessons could never be explained with words. True wisdom had to be experienced. One morning, after seeing the apprentice ruin another carefully selected piece of wood by rushing, the old carpenter decided it was time for his final lesson. Instead of teaching a new technique, he gave the apprentice an unusual challenge. For the next 7 days, every task inside the workshop would be completed in complete silence. No unnecessary conversation, no complaints, no humming, and no distractions. Only quiet work. The apprentice accepted the challenge, convinced it could teach him nothing important. The first day proved surprisingly difficult. The silence felt heavy. Without conversation, every minute seemed longer. Although his mouth remained quiet, his thoughts refused to stop. His mind replaced old mistakes, worried about unfinished work, imagined future success, and became irritated by every small inconvenience. The workshop was peaceful, but inside his mind there was endless noise. By the end of the day, he felt mentally exhausted, not because the work was difficult, but because controlling his restless thoughts required more effort than lifting heavy timber. The second day brought a new realization. He began noticing things he had ignored for months: the steady rhythm of the saw, the gentle tapping of the hammer, the calming scent of freshly cut cedar, and the beautiful grain hidden inside every board. For the first time, he realized he had spent so much energy chasing the finished product that he had never truly appreciated the work itself. On the third day, his pace naturally slowed. Instead of forcing his tool, he worked patiently. He measured carefully before cutting, paused instead of reacting emotionally, and became more thoughtful with every moment. His mistakes became fewer, his concentration grew stronger. The silence that once felt uncomfortable gradually became peaceful. By the fourth day, silence no longer felt empty. It became a source of clarity. Without distractions, his mind became organized. He noticed problems before they appeared, discovered creative improvements, and allowed the natural grain of the wood to guide his hands. The elderly carpenter quietly watched from a distance. The apprentice's face no longer showed frustration. His movements had become calm, confident, and graceful. On the fifth day, a wealthy customer ordered an elegant wooden cabinet for a special family celebration. The apprentice carefully selected the finest cedar and worked with complete attention. There was no desire to impress anyone with speed. Every cut was carefully planned. Every carving showed remarkable precision. Every polished surface shone beautifully. As the cabinet slowly took shape, it became clear that something extraordinary was being created. The sixth day presented an unexpected challenge. Hidden inside the wood was a large knot that threatened the entire design. In the past, this would have caused frustration. This time, however, the apprentice remained calm. He carefully studied the natural grain surrounding the knot and redesigned the part of the carving so the imperfection became the centerpiece of the cabinet. What had once seemed like a flaw became its greatest beauty. He realized that a peaceful mind could discover opportunities where an impatient mind saw only problems. Finally, the seventh day arrived. The completed wooden cabinet stood before the elderly carpenter. It was unlike anything the apprentice had ever created. Every joint fit perfectly, every carving displayed remarkable balance, every polished surface reflected countless hours of careful attention. The entire piece radiated elegance, strength, and harmony. The old carpenter examined every detail and immediately recognized that the apprentice had reached a level of craftsmanship impossible to achieve through technical skill alone. The greatest transformation had not occurred in the wood, it had occurred within the craftsman. During those 7 days, no secret woodworking technique had been taught, no magical tool had been introduced, no advanced carving method had been demonstrated. Instead, the apprentice had learned something far more valuable. He discovered that the quality of his work always reflected the condition of his mind. The restless mind created hurried hands. An impatient mind overlooked important details. An angry mind made careless mistakes, but a quiet mind brought clarity. A peaceful mind strengthened concentration. The silent mind awakened creativity. Years later, the apprentice became one of the kingdom's most represented carpenters. His furniture was admired everywhere, and many young craftsmen traveled greater distance to learn his secrets. They expected lessons about tools and carving techniques, but before touching a single piece of wood, they first learned to embrace silence. Because true mystery never begins in the hands, it begins in the mind, and the finest creations are born not from speed or talent alone, but from the deep peace that silence brings.
Thank you for watching.